Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and West Coast Avengers, issue number 10. This is a very sad day because it's the final issue. Very, very disappointed at that. We have ourselves a conversation there, Marvel. You and me. One of these days. Won't be a single word spoken. Anyway, let's get into the accolades for this comic book. We got writer Kelly Thompson, artist Moy R., color artist Triona Farrell, and letters VC's Joe Caramagna. Cover Gang Hyuk Lim, and graphic designer Carlos Lau. All right. The original Avengers created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. All right. So getting into this, we find out that Kate's mom is actually a Damphir. She's half vampire, half human. Therefore, she will probably be dating Blade pretty soon, which I'm telling you, if this comic would have continued, I could totally see that. I could totally see that happening because every once in a while it's fun to see Blade just being a little bit silly. A little bit. Not too much. Plus, his interactions with freaking Quentin Quire would just be, in this comic book, would have been off the freaking wall, man. That would have been great. Like, here's this guy who thinks that he's so tough, and then he comes face to face with Blade. God, that would have been great. So, while everybody's sitting here fighting all these vampiric type dudes in these red cult-like clothes, Ramona winds up discovering that she's got a totally cool new power. It's funny because she just found out that she had powers, the previous issue? I think it was. So, yeah, she's a little bit uber mega. She goes kind of like a Doc Ock in a way, which is kind of cool. I'm digging on it. I think there's more than 8. Yeah, let me count. Yep, definitely more than 8 polls there. The actual witness of the shrimp convention, I'm kind of digging on that. And yeah, for the most part, I mean, like, seriously, when you look at that picture, I mean, like they're all crying. They're like, help, as they're running away from everybody. What are they even running from? I don't get. Yeah, my mortal enemy. Jeff the Land Shark. Okay. I think I could be cool for the rest of this issue. So, yeah, final quick parts about this comic book. I love Quentin Quire's shirt, constantly changing, but there's a little bit of competition here for shirts because Hawkeye's shirt keeps coming off. And of course, this guy's almost as ripped as I am. I mean, 43-year-old guy, almost 44. I've got rippling muscles for a guy who sits at his computer working almost the entire day. Yeah, sure. Anyway, so I'm a little bit envious. I mean, clearly Hawkeye's older than I am anyway, if you actually look chronologically in the history of the Marvel Universe. Anyway, all that aside, yeah, dude, this was a fantastic comic book. And, it's fun. Like, you look at the cover. And it's like, dude, this could have been the Marvel version of the Teen Titans. In many ways, it was. It wasn't quite there yet, but I mean, the history of the Teen Titans stretches, and then here we've got a 10-issue long series that was cut short. Yes, it was due to sales. I think a lot of it was because people didn't want to actually jump on it to try it. For the most part, I think that aside, unless you're a comic skater, which, let's just face it, you're not a particularly happy person in life. You're not. You get your thrills watching jackasses rip up comic books, and then you talk about, I love comic books. You're not smart enough to actually see the diaspora of intellect there, right? No, the contradictions, hypocritical, doesn't mean anything to you, right? That's fine. Some people just want to watch the world burn. And I hope that while you're escaping that fire, you get your dick stuck in a chain link fence. Anyway, so aside from jackasses like that, everybody who did read this comic book kind of loved the comic book. You can look on Twitter. You can see the love. I mean, there were a lot of things to love about this comic book. A whole lot. And unfortunately, that was cut short due to sales because not enough people got onto it. I could tell just because you look at the fact that a lot of us who are reviewing this comic book don't have a lot of reviews. A lot of views, I should say, on our reviews. It is what it is. But for the most part, people who looked at this comic book or who watched those reviews enjoyed the comic book. It's a shame. So there is one way to potentially save this comic book. Unfortunately, it's a real long shot. All right? So I'm going to tell you, and I've said this before about multiple comic books, and here it comes again. If the trade paperback of this comic book does well, they could bring this comic book back. They can give it a second chance. It's happened many times before, you know, and it could absolutely happen again with this. So when the trade does come out, if you got a couple bucks to spare, go out and buy the trade. A lot of people skip on the floppies and go straight to the trade. That is understandable. It's easier to store trade paperbacks than it is to store floppies. I mean, you don't have to buy backboards and you know, bags for them. So there's that. You stick them right on your shelves. There is, however, going to be a bit of a problem with that. Marvel decided to kind of cut this book off at the knees. Trade paperback usually goes to 6 issues, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, there's this book only went to 10 issues, not to 12 issues. So you're not even going to have 6 issues in the upcoming trade for this. You're going to have 4. And then a reprint or 2 of something else. That's not cool. That's not cool. So, all I can suggest to try and get this comic book to come back would be to buy the comic book. Again, if you've got the cash to spare, buy the trade. Because that's going to be the big thing. Trades, regardless, are still going to be cheaper than the comic book itself. On top of that, knowing Marvel, knowing comic books, period. It's not a Marvel thing. I'm not, you know, trying to point a finger at anybody, except comic skaters. I'll point this finger at you. I will say that it's probably going to be a full price trade, even though there's only going to be 4 issues in it. I know. Like I said, cutting off this comic book at the knees. All I can say is what I said. If the comic book does well in trade, this comic book can come back. And I mean, you look at the comic book and there's so much more story to tell. This isn't just some little thing. There's a lot of story to be told in this comic book. Even Jeff the Land Shark, his stories. All right, you know what? We got to come to some kind of a peace here, some kind of a compromise. Jeff, man, look, you're all right for a freaking land shark. You are. You're cool. And one of these days you'll be old enough to speak. And, you know, I'm sure you'll say how much you appreciate me and my videos, what I do for the community. I'm sure you'll donate to the Bloor Children's Hospital as linked below. I'm sure you'll be a good shark. You know, you just need pockets for that. I'm sure you'll be a good little baby land shark when you grow up. But for now, all right, we'll make peace. We good? Godspeed, Jeff. Godspeed. I swear that shark bites me, I'm gonna whoop its ass. Anyway, this really was the Teen Titans of Marvel. I don't know any other book out there that could really compete with Teen Titans or Adventures of Super Sons even. You know what I'm saying? That Marvel just really doesn't have those kinds of books to compete with them. And this really was that one shot that they had to really compete, and they just chose not to. I feel there's something for everybody in this book. I genuinely do. And not a lot of books allow itself to have fun like this book did. And it's a shame. I'm like actually just a little tiny bit heartbroken over this. So it is what it is. Anyway, guys, here's hoping that it makes a return. Here's hoping that we do get the return of Jeff, baby freaking land shark. Here's also hoping that I get a 6-inch Marvel Legends, well, to scale, a 1/12 scale of Jeff the Baby Land Shark also, because that could be fun. Just saying. Anyway, guys, maybe with a re-release of Kate Bishop, I'd be down with that. Or with Quentin Quire, even better, because I don't have one of those either. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.